The rain hit hard that afternoon. Cold and sharp like the past, Jack tried to forget. He sat in the patrol car, staring out the fogged windshield. Rex lay on the passenger seat, ears perked, nose twitching. Jack didn't talk much, but Rex didn't need words. Their shift had started quiet, a couple of traffic stops, a call about a lost kid that turned out to be false. But then the radio crackled. Unit 17 respond to 5th and Parker. Disturbance behind the old mill. Jack sighed, grabbing the mic. Copy. En route. Rex barked once, like he knew something was coming. They pulled up to the mill, abandoned for years, rust eating the walls. Rainwater streamed down broken windows. Jack stepped out, hand on his belt. Rex leaped down beside him. They moved quietly, boots and paws splashing through the muddy ground. Then a sound, barely there. A whimper. Jack froze. You hear that, boy? Rex tilted his head, ears sharp. Another whimper. Closer now, behind the dumpster. Jack approached, heart pounding. He knew that sound too well. Pain, fear. He rounded the corner and stopped cold. A little dog, soaked, shivering, blood on its back. Its ribs stuck out like wire. It didn't even bark. It just looked at him. Easy now, Jack whispered, crouching low. I'm not gonna hurt you. Rex stood still, eyes locked on the pup. Then something strange happened. Rex took a step forward and whimpered. He never whimpered. Jack watched his partner, confused. Rex lowered his head, inching closer, slowly, gently. The pup didn't move until Rex licked its nose. Jack's throat tightened. You know this pup? He asked, more to himself. He reached out, careful not to startle it. The pup flinched but didn't run. Jack gently lifted it, wrapping it in his jacket. Let's get you out of here, he muttered. Back in the car, the pup lay in Jack's lap, while Rex curled up beside them. Jack called dispatch, found an injured stray, taking it to vet. Copy that. On the way to the clinic, Jack kept glancing down. The pup didn't cry, didn't fight, just looked up at him with those tired eyes. I've seen that look before, Jack whispered. Same one you had, Rex. Rex whined softly, resting his head on the seat. At the clinic, Dr. Mason met them at the door. Bring him in. Jack laid the pup on the table. Back's cut up pretty bad, might have been kicked. Dr. Mason nodded grimly. Looks like he's been out in the rain a long time. Jack didn't speak. His fists clenched. His mind went back years ago. A dark night. Screams. Blood. The moment he'd found Rex in that ditch, too broken to bark. That night still haunted him. But he'd carried Rex out, just like today. I'll do what I can, Dr. Mason said, pulling on gloves. Jack stepped back. Rex didn't move from the door. Hours passed. The rain kept falling. Jack sat in the corner, arms crossed. Rex lay at his feet, eyes on the door. Finally, Dr. Mason came out. He's stable. Lost a lot of blood, but he's strong. Jack stood. Can I see him? Of course. Inside, the pup lay on a blanket, IV in his leg. His eyes opened when Jack stepped in. Rex walked over and lay down beside the table. The pup looked at Rex and wagged his tail. Dr. Mason watched them, then said softly, You thinking what I'm thinking? Jack nodded. Yeah, he belongs with us. He reached out and touched the pup's head. You made it. You're safe now. Rex gave a soft bark, as if agreeing. Later that night, back at Jack's small home, the pup curled up on the old blanket beside the heater. Rex lay close, protective, quiet. Jack leaned against the wall, arms folded. He looked at the pup, then at Rex. Guess you got yourself a little brother. Rex thumped his tail. Outside, the rain slowed. Inside, a new chapter had quietly begun. And though Jack didn't say it aloud, he felt it deep in his chest. Something had changed. Rex had saved him once. Now maybe it was Jack's turn to save another. Jack slammed the brakes. The cruiser skidded slightly on the wet road, tires splashing through puddle. The boy disappeared from the window. So, Sack muttered, heart thudding. He was calling for help. Rex growled low, staring at the crumbling building across the street. Jack grabbed the radio. Dispatch. This is Unit 17. Possible child in danger. Abandoned building on 8th and Linden. Request backup. Copy that. 17. Units en route. Jack didn't wait. He opened the door, unholstered his flashlight, and turned to Rex. Let's move, partner. Rex leapt out, landing with purpose. The building loomed ahead, its bricks cracked, windows shattered, and vines curling around rusted bars. Rain poured down harder, soaking Jack's uniform. The air smelled of mold and rot. They moved quickly. Jack's boots squished through the flooded alley as Rex took the lead, sniffing. Easy boy, Jack whispered. Let's find that kid. Inside, the place was worse. Water dripped from the ceiling. Trash littered the floor. Old furniture lay scattered, rotting. Rex sniffed the air, then bolted toward the stairwell. Rex, wait. Jack followed close. The second floor creaked with every step. Jack raised his flashlight and froze. Bloody handprints on the wall. He touched his earpiece. Kid might be injured. Going in. Rex suddenly barked, loud and urgent. They turned the corner and there he was. The boy, no older than 10, soaked, barefoot. A thin line of blood ran down his arm. His eyes were wide, full of fear. Hey, it's okay, Jack said gently, lowering his flashlight. I'm a cop. You're safe now. The boy didn't move. His lips trembled. Rex took a step forward and whimpered. The boy flinched, then blinked. He's nice? The boy asked. Jack nodded. The best partner I've got. Rex sat, tail wagging slightly. What's your name, son? Jack asked. Eli. Jack's voice softened. Eli, are you hurt? My leg. I think it's broken. And my brother, he told me to hide when those men came. Jack's gut tightened. What men? They had guns. They were yelling. My brother pushed me into the wall and told me to send an SOS if they didn't come back. Jack's voice grew firm. Where is your brother now? Downstairs. In the basement. Eli's voice cracked. He hasn't come back. Jack turned to Rex. Basement. Rex barked once and took off. Jack knelt beside Eli. I'm gonna check on your brother. Backup's coming. You stay here. Can you do that? Eli nodded slowly. Be careful. Jack smiled. Always. He followed Rex down the stairs, each step louder than the last in the echoing silence. The basement door hung crooked. Jack pushed it open. Dark. Silent. Rex growled, teeth bare. Jack flicked on his flashlight and saw a foot sticking out from behind a pile of crates. He rushed over. Sir, can you hear me? The boy's brother was barely conscious. Blood soaked his shirt. I've got you, Jack said, pressing his fingers to the boy's neck. A pulse faint. But there. He tapped his mic. Request ambulance. Teenage male. Critical condition. Possible gunshot wound. Suddenly a floorboard creaked behind him. Jack turned. Two shadows appeared in the basement doorway. Men. Armed. Drop the radio, one growled. Jack raised his hand slowly. You don't want to do this. But before they could step closer, Rex lunged. He hit the first man hard, knocking him over. Jack dove, tackling the second, slamming him to the floor. A shot rang out but missed. Rex growled, holding the man down until Jack cuffed them both. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jack exhaled. Good job, partner. Rex panted, tail wagging. By the time paramedics arrived, Jack had carried both boys out into the rain. Eli clung to his brother, tears streaming down his face. You saved him, he whispered. Jack placed a hand on his shoulder. No, you did. That SOS saved you both. As the boys were loaded into the ambulance, one of the medics turned to Jack. You always find yourself in the middle of the storm, don't you? Jack gave a tired smile. It finds us. Rex barked once, hopping into the cruiser. Back in the car, Jack sat for a moment, staring into the rain. Then he looked at Rex. Let's get home, buddy. But as they drove away, Jack's phone buzzed with a new call, one that would lead them straight into the most painful chapter yet. The smell was thick, rot, damp wood, and something else Jack couldn't place. It clung to his nose, made his stomach twist. He stepped inside slowly, flashlight in one hand, other resting near his holster. Rex didn't bark, but his body tensed, muscles tight, ears up, eyes scanning. The living room was dark, curtains drawn, wallpaper peeling, empty bottles lined the floor. Jack moved cautiously, boots crunching over shattered glass. Stay close, he muttered to Rex. A soft creak came from upstairs. Jack paused. Someone's here. Rex growled low again. Not loud. Controlled. A warning. They moved past a broken couch and into the hallway. Dust hung in the air. On the wall, photos, faded. A woman smiling holding a baby. Another with a man in uniform. A family once. The upstairs creaked again. Jack took the steps slowly, each one groaning beneath his weight. Rex moved silently, one paw at a time. Halfway up, Jack called out, "Police, if anyone's here, make yourself known." No answer, just the steady drip of water from a leak somewhere above. They reached the landing, 3 doors, all closed. Jack pointed to the left. Rex nudged it open with his nose. Nothing inside but a tipped-over dresser and torn clothes. The second door, Jack opened it, a bathroom. The mirror cracked, rust in the sink. Still nothing. Then the third, the one at the end of the hall. Jack's fingers tightened on the handle. Rex stood completely still, nose pressed against the gap, under the door. His tail didn't wag. Jack glanced down. "Ready?" Rex gave a tiny huff. Jack pushed. The door creaked open. The smell hit harder now, a mix of old food and something else, something sour and metallic. The flashlight beam cut through the dark and landed on a mattress on the floor. Someone was lying there. Jack stepped closer. "Sir, are you okay?" No response. He crouched slowly. A man, middle-aged, barely breathing, pale, arms bruised, eyes fluttering open. Jack knelt beside him. "Hey, stay with me. Can you hear me?" The man's voice was barely a whisper. She took him." Jack leaned in. "Who? Took who?" The man's eyes welled up. "My son." She said he wasn't right. "She took him to the basement." Jack stood instantly. "Rex, basement." Rex was already moving. Back down the stairs faster this time. Jack's heart pounded. A basement. That's where the boy could be. He found the door near the kitchen. Locked. One kick. Two. The third cracked it open. Darkness. Thick and heavy. He turned on his flashlight. Stone steps led down into a cold, damp space. Rex growled again. Louder now. Jack descended quickly. His light swept the room, cans, blankets, chains, and then movement. A child, sitting in the corner, knees to his chest, covered in dirt, eyes wide. Jack rushed over. "It's okay. I'm here to help." The boy flinched. "Is she coming back?" "No," Jack said firmly. "Not anymore." He lifted the boy gently. He was light, too light, malnourished. As they climbed the stairs, sirens wailed in the distance. Backup had arrived. Outside, rain had started again. Gentle now. Paramedics rushed in. The boy clung to Jack's coat. "Where's my dad?" he whispered. Jack pointed. "He's upstairs. He's gonna be okay." Officers let out a woman moments later, handcuffed and screaming nonsense. Jack didn't even look at her. His focus stayed on the boy, who now sat wrapped in a blanket beside Rex. "Is your name Caleb?" Jack asked. The boy nodded slowly. Jack's voice softened. "You're safe now, Caleb. I promise." Rex licked the boy's hand. Caleb smiled weakly for the first time. One of the officers approached. "Looks like the woman kept them both hidden for months. Neighbors thought the place was empty." Jack shook his head. That house wasn't empty. It was screaming for help. Just, no one listened. Rex barked once, looking back at the house, then at Jack. The officer added, "You taking the kid in for the night?" Jack looked at Caleb, small, scared and clutching Rex's fur. "I'll take him," Jack said, "until they find a proper place." As they drove off into the night, Caleb asleep in the back seat, Jack stared ahead into the rain-slicked road, but something felt off. A message flashed on his phone. Unknown number, just 4 words. "You were too late." Jack's jaw tightened. He glanced at Rex. "This isn't over, buddy." And deep down, he knew something bigger had just begun. Jack dropped to one knee instantly. "Hey, buddy, it's okay. You're safe now." The boy flinched as the wall creaked open wider. He was curled up, arms over his head, eyes filled with fear. Dirt smudged his face. His shirt was torn. Rex didn't bark. He stepped closer slowly, wagging his tail once, then lying down, stretching his head toward the boy. The boy looked at Rex, confused. Is he gonna bite?" Jack shook his head. "He only bites bad guys. You're not one of them." The boy hesitated, then reached out with a trembling hand. Rex licked his fingers gently. Jack let out a breath. "That's Rex. I'm Jack. Can you tell me your name?" The boy hesitated. "Dylan." "All right, Dylan," Jack said softly. Let's get you out of here, okay? I can't walk good, Dylan whispered. My leg hurts. Jack nodded and slowly reached into the crawl space. I'm gonna lift you out. Real careful. He scooped the boy up, who gasped in pain but didn't resist. Jack could feel how thin he was, just skin and bone. As Jack carried him out into the main room, Dylan looked back at the wall. She said no one would find me, that no one cared. Jack's jaw tightened. She was wrong. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the sky was still gray. A paramedic rushed forward, wrapping a blanket around Dylan and checking his leg. Rex stayed close, watching everything. Dylan clung to Jack's coat. Are you leaving me? Jack crouched down. Not a chance. I'll stay right here. An officer stepped over. We searched the house. Looks like he was locked in there for days, maybe weeks. No food, no light. Jack's stomach turned. Anyone else in the house? The officer shook his head. Empty. Jack looked back at the hidden wall. Someone built that space on purpose. Rex suddenly barked and trotted back inside. Jack followed. Rex stood at the crawl space, sniffing the wall beside it. Jack ran his hand along the wooden paneling and felt it. A seam. A second hidden door. He pushed. It opened with a groan. A small room, covered in strange symbols drawn in chalk, and in the center, an old notebook. Jack opened it. Pages full of messy writing, names, dates, sketches of children. One sentence repeated on almost every page. The chosen must be hidden. Jack snapped it shut and turned to Rex. This wasn't just abuse. It was planned. Back outside, Jack handed the notebook to the lead officer. We need to check for other missing kids. This could go deeper. He walked back to the ambulance, where Dylan now sat with an oxygen mask. Jack knelt down. Hey, you holding up? Dylan nodded slowly. My mom, she didn't want me anymore. She gave me to the lady in the gray coat. Jack's chest tightened. Do you remember where that was? She had a van. It smelled bad. I think there were other kids. Jack stood. We need to move fast. Just then his phone buzzed. Another unknown number. One text. One down. 3 remain. Jack stared at it, cold washing over him. He showed it to the officer. Someone's watching us. Rex let out a sharp growl. Jack glanced at Dylan. You remember anything else about that woman? She had a scar on her hand, shaped like a star. Jack nodded. That helps. He turned to Rex. Looks like we've got a trail to follow. Rex barked once. Ready. Jack looked back at Dylan. You're safe now. I promise. And we're gonna find the other. As the ambulance pulled away, Dylan looked out the window, waving weakly. Jack watched until the lights faded. Then he turned toward the trees beyond the house, where faint tire tracks disappeared into the mud. Let's go, Rex, he said. This isn't over. And with that, they followed the trail into the shadows of a mystery far darker than either of them had imagined. Jack crouched beside the boy, one hand steadying Rex, as the other gently brushed the dirt from Sam's arm. The boy flinched, but didn't pull away. You're safe now, Jack said softly. Sam's eyes, hollow and dim, flicked to him for just a second, then back to Rex. He didn't speak again, just pressed his face into the dog's fur like it was the only solid thing left in his world. Jack looked around the basement. Rusted shell, chains hanging from nails, a soiled mattress in the corner. There were scratches on the wall, deep ones, made by fingernails. Rex led us here, Jack told him. He wouldn't stop until we found you. Sam didn't respond. A medic stepped forward with a stretcher, but Sam instantly No, he whimpered. Don't take me. Jack raised his hand. Easy. No one's taking you anywhere without me and Rex. Got it? Sam's lip trembled. He looked at Jack for real this time, nodding faintly. The medic knelt beside him. We just want to check you, but make sure you're okay. As they gently lifted him, Sam kept one hand tangled in Rex's fur. Rex stayed right there, trotting beside the stretcher as they brought Sam out into the cold air. The sky was dull. Clouds stretched low, heavy with rain again. The crowd that had gathered stood in stunned silence. As the boy appeared, Jack walked next to him all the way to the ambulance. Will he ride with me? Sam asked, his voice barely a breath. Jack looked at the paramedic. Rex is going with him. The medic nodded. He can ride up front. Rex jumped in without hesitation. Jack leaned in. I'll be right behind you. As the doors closed, Jack exhaled slowly. One more child pulled from the shadows, but his gut twisted. Someone had done this. Someone was still out there. He stepped away and dialed his phone. Dispatch. This is Officer Jack. I need to reopen all missing child files from the past year. We're not done. Copy that, officer. He hung up. His hands shook, but not from fear, from rage. At the hospital, Sam refused to sleep without Rex beside him. So Jack stayed too, pulling up a chair and watching as Rex curled up beside the boy's bed, resting his head on Sam's chest. For the first time since they found him, Sam smiled. Later that night, Jack sat in the hallway staring at the notebook he'd taken from the last house. Pages filled with twisted words and numbers. 3 names were scratched out. 1 remained. Next to it a date. Tomorrow. Jack's stomach dropped. Someone had planned another abduction. He rushed back inside, where Sam was now sitting up with a juice box. Rex curled protectively at his feet. Sam, Jack said gently, I need to ask you something important. The boy blinked at him. The people who took you, did they say anything about other kids? Sam nodded slowly. She said, I was the third. Said one more, and it would be complete. Did you ever see the last one? The other kid? Sam hesitated. No, but she had a picture. A girl, with glasses. She said her name was Emily. Jack stood up fast. Thank you, Sam. He turned to Rex. We've got a name. That night, Jack sat in his cruiser, with a copy of the missing persons list. There she was, Emily Harper, age 8, vanished 3 months ago, last seen in a nearby park. No leads. Until now. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. Another message. No number. She moves at dawn. Jack stared at the screen. The same woman. The one with the scar. She was still ahead of them. He looked over at Rex in the passenger seat. We can't rest, buddy. Not yet. Rex gave a low bark as if he understood. As the rain began again, Jack started the engine. They had 1 night left to find Emily. 1 night to stop the final piece from falling into place. The basement air was heavy, thick with dampness and something Jack couldn't name. Something wrong. The kind of wrong that made your skin crawl. Rex paused halfway down the stairs, ears pulled back, growling low. Jack's boots echoed on the steps as he followed, flashlight slicing through the dark. He whispered, Show me, Rex. Rex padded forward, tail stiff, leading Jack to the far end of the room. That's when Jack saw it. Chains bolted to the wall, short ones, the kind no one could move far with. Beside them were soiled, stained blankets on the floor, a broken plastic spoon, an old shoe too small for an adult. Jack crouched, jaw clenched tight. They kept them here, he muttered, but it was the wall that stopped him cold. Crude drawings, scratched into the concrete with nails or maybe just fingers. Children, dozens of them. Some were smiling, some had X's over their eyes. Jack's breath hitched. These are real kids. He reached for one of the names carved beneath a figure. Maya. Another. Zane. Then one more. Emily. Jack froze. Emily Harper, he whispered. Rex whined. He was sniffing something tucked under one of the blankets. Jack lifted the cloth and found it. An old backpack. Purple. Faded stickers still stuck to the side. Inside, a pink notebook. A pencil. A photo of a little girl with glasses. Emily. Jack stood quickly and grabbed his radio. Dispatch. This is Jack. We've got confirmation. Emily Harper was here. I need an immediate search perimeter set up around the woods near Ridge Hill. She could still be nearby. Copy that. Units en route. Jack looked down at Rex. We're close, buddy. Real close. As they turned to leave, Rex, he growled again, louder this time, and stared at a door Jack hadn't noticed. A small one, half-height, painted the same color as the wall, meant to blend in. Jack approached slowly. Stay behind me, he told Rex. He opened it. The smell was worse, sour, wet, and inside, nothing but a single wooden chair, nailed to the floor. A camera tripod stood in the corner, lens cracked. Jack's stomach churned. He stepped back fast, shutting the door hard. We're not just dealing with one sick person, he said. This is bigger. As they climbed out of the basement, Jack's mind raced. The backpack, the names, the drawings. This wasn't some random crime. It was organized, calculated. Back outside, officers were already forming a search line. Flashlights scanned the tree line. Helicopters circled above. An officer jogged over. Sir, one of the neighbors mentioned a gray van that used to park outside late at night, always around 3 a.m. Jack narrowed his eyes. License plate, half remembered. Starts with XP9. Jack nodded. It's something. He climbed into his cruiser, Rex right behind him. His phone buzzed again. Another message from the blocked number. Too slow. Tick-tock. Jack slammed his fist on the dash. She's taunting us now. He looked at Rex. But we're gonna find her. He opened his laptop, pulled up the local traffic cams, and started scanning every plate with XP9. Minutes passed. Then there it was. A gray van. 2 nights ago, leaving the highway near Ridge Hill at 2:58 a.m. Jack pointed at the screen. Let's go. The cruiser sped off into the dark, tires cutting through the wet roads. They reached the ridge by dawn. Mist curled between the trees. Officers were already setting up, but Rex didn't wait. He jumped from the car and darted into the woods. Jack followed. Rex, what do you smell? They ran deeper and deeper, the forest getting denser. And then, Rex stopped. He barked sharply, digging at the base of an old tree. There was something buried there. Jack dropped to his knees, pulling away branches and dirt, and then he saw it. Another shoe. Tiny, mud-stained, still warm. She's close, Jack said, heart racing. But just then, a scream echoed through the trees. A girl's scream. Jack's eyes locked with Rex's. Go. And without hesitation they ran toward the sound, toward the heart of the nightmare that had just revealed its final piece. The rain tapped lightly on the window, but Jack wasn't listening. He sat at the kitchen table, eyes glued to the open file in front of him. A dozen papers scattered across the table, reports, missing persons, old deeds. The coffee beside him had gone cold hours ago. Rex lay at his feet, head resting on Jack's boot, eyes open, quietly watching. Jack rubbed his temples. This doesn't add up, buddy. None of it. Sam's file was thin, too thin. No school records, no birth certificate, no medical history, as if he'd never officially existed. And the house, the one where they found him, registered to a man named Peter Lyles, reported missing in 2010. No updates since. Jack shook his head. How does a house owned by a missing man end up filled with locked children and no one notices? Rex let out a soft grunt. Jack grabbed his laptop and started digging into Peter Lyles. The last known address was a small cabin 2 hours out of town. Nothing since. No activity. No family. He searched deeper. Found an old case file. Lyles had been investigated once for child endangerment. No charges filed. Figures, Jack muttered. They let him walk. Then something else popped up. A connection to an old woman's name. Marla Hensley. Jack clicked. Her file was sealed. Redacted lines everywhere. But one thing stood out. She'd worked at a youth shelter. Fired. Suspicion of abuse. No charges. Jack leaned back. This is bigger than we thought. Rex suddenly stood, alert. A car had pulled into the driveway. Jack opened the door slowly, hand near his holster, but it was CPS Cynthia, the caseworker assigned to Sam. She stepped out, umbrella in hand. Jack, we need to talk. Inside, she sat across from him, flipping through her own notes. Sam's terrified, she said. He barely speaks, but when he does it's always about a woman. The gray lady, he calls her. Jack nodded. I've heard it before. Another kid mentioned a woman with a scar on her hand. Cynthia pulled something from her folder. A sketch. He drew this morning. It was crude, but clear. A tall woman, gray coat, and on her hand, an unmistakable scar in the shape of a star. Jack's blood ran cold. That's her, he whispered. Cynthia looked confused. You've seen her. She's the one behind us. The messages, the van, the abductions. Sam was lucky. Others weren't. Cynthia set down the drawing. Jack, Sam doesn't legally exist. We're trying to place him, but we don't even know where to start. Every record we dig into leads to another dead end. Jack tapped the old deed. I think that's the point. This whole thing's a network. Hidden kids, abandoned houses, fake names, and behind it, her. Rex growled. He was staring at the door. A knock. Jack stood fast. He opened the door cautiously. An officer from Ridge Hill stood there, soaked to the bone. We found something, he said, voice serious, near the old sawmill. Thought you'd want to see it yourself. Jack turned to Cynthia. Stay with Sam. Don't let him out of your sight. She nodded. Go. Rex was already at the door, ready to go. 30 minutes later, Jack stood outside the sawmill, rain dripping from his coat. The air was thick with mud and over here,
the officer said, leading him behind the building. There, buried beneath a tarp and fallen branches, was another backpack. Jack crouched. It was soaked but intact. Inside a doll, a child's notebook, and a small jacket with the name tag, Emily. Jack's throat tightened. He stood. She was here.
The officer nodded. We followed footprints into the woods. Then they vanished. Jack looked toward the trees. She's still moving them, hiding them. Rex barked once, ears pointed toward the forest. Jack's phone buzzed again. No number. A message. He wasn't the first, he won't be the last. Jack stared at the screen, fury building. We need to end this, he muttered. And as the wind howled through the trees, Jack knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was a hunt. The tires crunched gravel as Jack pulled the cruiser to a stop on the side of the narrow dirt road. The headlights barely cut through the thick fog creeping between the trees. Rex barked sharply, his body tense as he pulled against the leash, dragging Jack toward the tree line like something was burning in his nose. Easy, boy, Jack muttered, but his voice was tight. He could feel it too, something wrong was close. Rex yanked again, almost pulling Jack off balance. All right, Jack breathed, letting him lead. Show me. They pushed through the thick brush. Thorns scratched Jack's arms, branches slapped across his face. But then, they saw it. An old van half hidden beneath leaves and moss, like it had been sitting there for years. The windows were fogged over, one of the doors slightly open. Rust coated the sides, and faint red stains streaked down the back. Jack's heart thudded. Please don't let it be what I think it is, Rex growled low, nose pressed to the back bumper. Jack opened the door. It creaked loudly in the silent woods. The smell hit him first, sour, stale, and metallic. Inside he found rope, duct tape, empty juice boxes, a dirty teddy bear, then the list, taped to the inside wall. A piece of paper yellowed and wrinkled, but the names were clear. Jack ran his eyes down the list. Sane crossed out, Maya crossed out, Sam not crossed out, but circled in red. Jack's stomach twisted. There were other names too, names he didn't recognize. Some had addresses next to them. Others just had numbers. Rex whined softly, pawing at a corner in the back. Jack climbed in carefully and lifted the tarp. Another box. Inside, photos, dozens of them. Kids, some sleeping, some awake, some looking terrified. Jack's throat tightened. This wasn't just a list, it was a system. Jack grabbed his radio. Dispatch, this is Officer Jack. I've located an abandoned vehicle connected to the Ridge Hill abductions. I need immediate backup in a forensics team at my location. Sending coordinates now. Copy that, Jack. Units on the way. He took one more glance at the list. There was one name at the very bottom, scribbled hastily, different from the others. Emily Harper, not crossed out. No address, no notes, just the words, next, soon. Jack turned to Rex. She's still planning something. Emily's still out there. Rex barked, ears up. He sniffed the air and turned east, toward the deeper part of the forest. You smell something? Jack asked. Rex took off before Jack could finish. Jack chased after him, flashlight bobbing as he pushed through the tree. Rex led him to a clearing just beyond a line of thorn bushes. There, hidden behind a pile of brush, was a small fire pit. Fresh ashes, still warm. Jack bent down. She was just here. He saw broken sticks around the edge. Someone had left in a hurry. Beside the pit was something else. A shoe, tiny, purple. Jack turned it over slowly. A name tag stitched inside. E. Harper. Jack's jaw clenched. She's alive. He tapped his earpiece. I've got signs of a recent fire. And Emily's shoe. She was here within the last few hours. Understood. Search units are expanding the perimeter. Jack stood, scanning the trees. That's when he noticed the symbols, etched into tree trunks around the clearing. Stars, circles, lines. The same symbols from the crawlspace walls. He stepped closer. Something about the way they were drawn made him pause. It wasn't random. It was a map. Jack pulled out his phone, taking pictures, then looked toward Rex. We're getting close, aren't we? Rex wagged his tail once, then turned back toward the woods. Suddenly Jack's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One line. She moves when the moon is high. Jack glanced up. The full moon was rising. He turned to Rex. She's not done yet, and neither are we. With the list in his pocket, Emily's shoe in his hand, and rage in his chest, Jack followed Rex back into the dark. Knowing the next hour could be the most important of their lives, Jack sat beside Sam on the hospital bed, the soft beeping of machines filling the silence between them. The boy looked better, clean clothes, IV drip in his arm, warmth on his face. But his eyes still held shadows no child should carry. Sam gripped a worn blanket tightly, his voice barely above a whisper. He said if I made a sound, he'd come for me. Jack kept his expression calm, even as his fists clenched. Did he tell you his name? Sam nodded slowly. He called himself Papa. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. That word, spoken so softly, hit harder than a scream. Sam's voice wavered. He wore a mask, a brown one, like skin but not real. I only saw his mouth moving under it. He never took it off. Jack leaned in gently. Do you remember anything else? Anything small could help. Sam hesitated, then whispered. He had a limp. His left leg dragged when he walked. And Rex growled at his voice once. That deep growl. I never heard Rex growl like that before. Jack looked down at Rex, who lay silently at his feet, eyes fixed on Sam with a protective calm. The memory seemed to stir something in the dog. His ears perked slightly, and his tail thumped once. He knows, Jack murmured. Sam looked up. Rex knew it was him, didn't he? Jack nodded. Dogs remember sounds. If Rex growled at him, he'll do it again. Sam blinked, trying to hold back tears. He said, there were more kids, locked away like me. He said I'd be lucky if I got to see the stars again. Jack's jaw tightened. That man isn't going to hurt anyone else. I promise. Sam stared at him. You mean I've never meant anything more. The door opened and a nurse stepped in quietly, checking Sam's IV. Jack stood, giving Sam's shoulder a light squeeze. I'll be back soon, all right? Stay with the nurse. You're safe now. As Jack and Rex left the room, Jack's phone buzzed. A message from forensics. Audio clue isolated from Van's dashcam mic. Sending now. He played it. A faint recording, hard to hear, static wind. Then a voice. Low, slow, almost playful. Time's running out. You never should have taken him. Rex immediately growled, ears flattening. Jack paused the clip. That's him, isn't it? Rex whined and nudged Jack's hand. They headed down the corridor to the elevator. Jack's mind raced. A limp, a mask, a name that wasn't real, and now a threat, direct and taunting. He replayed Sam's words in his head. More kids. If Sam wasn't the only one, they had to move fast. The elevator doors opened, and Captain Willis stood waiting. Jack, got a minute? Jack stepped out. Yeah, what is it? Willis pulled him aside. We traced the house deed further. That property changed hands 3 times under aliases, all tied to missing persons cases. Jack frowned. Any matches to current suspects? 1. A man named Henry Vale disappeared 15 years ago after being questioned in a child endangerment case. Never charged, never found. Jack nodded. He's our Papa. Willis sighed. It's possible. It's him, Jack said flatly. Sam said he limps, wears a mask, used fake names. Rex recognized his voice. Willis looked concerned. So what's your next move? Jack looked down at Rex. Let him lead me again. Wherever that man is, Rex will find him. Willis nodded slowly. All right, but take backup this time. Jack didn't respond. He just walked away. Back at the car, Jack opened the door and Rex leapt into the passenger seat. Already alert. Jack took a deep breath and turned to him. You remember that voice, boy? Let's finish what we started. Rex let out a low, eager bark. As they pulled out of the hospital lot, Jack's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One message. You're getting too close. He won't be the last. Jack tightened his grip on the wheel. We'll see about that. He glanced over at Rex, who was now sitting perfectly still, nose twitching toward the cracked window, ears focused on something Jack couldn't hear. The night air was thick with the weight of the truth, and the chase wasn't over. Somewhere out there, other children might still be waiting, and someone Papa was still watching. Jack whispered, let's find him before he disappears again. Rex growled softly, and the road ahead stretched into the unknown. Jack couldn't stop thinking about the voice, the way Rex reacted to it,
The way it made his own blood run cold. It wasn't just a guess anymore. This man Papa was real, and Jack was going to find him. He spent the next morning locked in his office at the precinct, going through every cold case, every disciplinary report, every name that ever crossed the wrong side of the line. Then it hit him. Gerald Knox. A name from years ago. A cop. Jack's mind flashed back to the academy. Knox had been older, rough around the edges, one of those officers who barked orders louder than anyone else, but with a temper that didn't belong in uniform. He had been discharged for misconduct after an incident involving a young suspect. Details were sealed, but Jack remembered one thing clearly. Knox walked with a limp, a permanent injury from a botched arrest that went sideways. He pulled up the sealed file, overriding security with his captain's code. The report was vague, just enough to bury the truth. Jack scrolled down until he found an old training video, a clip labeled Field Scenario Officer G. Knox. He clicked play. The grainy footage showed Knox barking commands in a staged drill, limping slightly, voice deep and slow. As soon as the audio kicked in, Rex, lying at Jack's feet, jerked upright. His ears shot back. He growled low. Jack turned to him. "That's him, isn't it?" Rex didn't move, just stared at the laptop screen and growled again, louder this time. Jack leaned back. Gerald Knox. He looked at the last known address, vacant for years, no employment records, no credit activity, no confirmed sightings, vanished off the grid. Jack muttered. He checked DMV files, nothing recent, searched aliases, checked prisons, still nothing. But one thing stood out. Knox had an uncle who owned property way outside the city, listed under a different name, a stretch of land near old logging roads. No recent sales, no activity, just silence. Jack picked up his phone and called dispatch. "I need a location run, off record. Just need a satellite look at a remote property." He gave the coordinates. A pause. "There's one structure on the land," the operator said. "Looks like an old shed or outbuilding. No power lines, no driveways, no movement recorded." Jack hung up. "That's where he's hiding." He opened the evidence locker and checked his gear, loaded his sidearm, put on his vest. He wasn't waiting for a team this time. As he walked to the car, Rex stayed right at his side, tail stiff, eyes sharp. "You ready for this, partner?" Jack asked quietly. Rex barked once, focused. They drove in silence, leaving the city behind. The roads grew narrower, the trees thicker, until there was nothing but dirt and shadow. The rain had started again, soft, steady, almost like the sky was warning them to turn back. But Jack did. He pulled over when the road turned too rough for the car. "We walk from here." They stepped out into the wet forest, mud clinging to their boots and paws. Rex sniffed the air, then took the lead. 20 minutes in, they found the clearing. A small wooden building stood crooked among the trees. No windows, just one door, padlocked. Jack crouched behind a log, watching. Rex was still, nose pointed toward the shed. Then he growled. Jack whispered, "He's here, isn't he?" Rex let out a low huff. Jack circled slowly, looking for signs, footprints, tools, anything. Then he saw it, an old tire track, half covered by leaves, leading deeper into the trees behind the structure. He followed it a few feet, found a tarp, pulled it back. Underneath, chains, a small shoe, a ripped piece of cloth, and a photo. A child, blonde, smiling. Not Sam. Another one. Jack's hands shook as he pocketed the photo. This wasn't over. It was bigger than he thought. Rex barked once, sharply. Jack turned. The shed door was open. He hadn't heard it move. He drew his weapon. "Rex, stay close." They approached together. The inside was empty. Just an old cot, some boxes, nothing fresh. But then Jack saw the wall. Dozens of photos, drawings, scraps of paper. Each child, a different name. All except the last photo, Sam, pinned with a red string. And beneath it, an empty pin labeled, "Next." Jack whispered, "He's planning another one."
Rex growled again, low and dangerous. From behind them, in the trees, a twig snapped. Jack spun around, gun raised. But the forest was still, too still. He turned back and saw something new. A note pinned to the door with a knife. "You're getting warmer, but so is the fire," Rex barked furiously. Jack grabbed the note. "He's watching us." The chase wasn't over. It was just beginning. Jack sat in silence, eyes glued to the monitor showing the front of Sam's safe house. It was quiet, too quiet. Sam sat on the couch, curled up in a blanket, clutching Rex's worn toy in his lap. His face was pale, but there was fire behind his eyes now. A week ago he was too scared to speak. Now he was the bait. They had worked on the plan together. "You sure about this?" Jack had asked. Sam nodded. "He needs to think I'm not scared anymore. That I'll tell." So they staged it. A fake news report, aired only once on a local channel, just enough to be picked up online. "The boy found in the abandoned home has now identified his captor and is prepared to testify," the reporter said, standing outside the police station. "Authorities believe an arrest is imminent." Jack made sure it reached the right forums. Dark places someone like Knox might be watching. Now they waited. 2 long, silent nights passed. Jack didn't sleep. Rex barely blinked. Sam kept asking, "Do you think he'll come?" "He'll come," Jack answered. "People like that, they don't let go." On the third night, the air felt heavier. Rex stood suddenly, ears up, body tense. A low growl rumbled in his throat. Jack froze. "What is it, boy?" he whispered. Rex padded slowly to the window. Jack followed, flicking the monitor to night vision. Nothing moved at first, just trees and shadows. Then, a flicker, a figure, barely visible, moving near the fence. Sam clutched the blanket tighter. "Is it him?" Jack nodded. "Stay down." The shadow moved closer, slowly. Confident, Jack pulled his radio. "Suspect approaching from the east perimeter. Hold position." No response. He tried again. Static. The radios were dead. "He jammed us," Jack muttered. "He's smarter than we thought." Rex was growling louder now, tail stiff. He wanted to charge. Jack grabbed his collar. "Not yet. Let him come." The door creaked. Jack aimed his gun at the hallway, heart pounding. A shadow passed the window. Then, another creak, closer this time. The back door. Sam whimpered. Jack motioned him to stay silent and hide. "In the bathroom. Lock it." Sam obeyed, fast and quiet. Jack and Rex took position in the hallway. The floor was silent under their feet. Years of training kicked in. Every breath controlled. Every sound magnified. Another noise. A boot scraping the tile near the back. "He's in." Rex growled again, louder this time. A voice cut through the silence. Low, crooked. "You always bark too early." Jack's stomach twisted. It was him. Gerald Knox. Jack stepped into view, gun raised. "It's over, Knox." A tall figure stepped out of the kitchen shadows, masked, limping. "You shouldn't have poked around, Jack." Jack kept his aim steady. "You've got nowhere to run." Knox laughed softly. "I've always run. You're just slow." Rex lunged forward suddenly, but Jack held him back. Knox took a step closer. "Where's the boy?" he asked, voice rough. "You hiding him again?" Jack narrowed his eyes. "He's not scared of you anymore." "Funny," Knox replied. "Fear keeps them quiet. Once that's gone, they start talking." Rex barked viciously, yanking against Jack's grip. Knox didn't flinch. Then everything happened at once. Knox threw something, glass shattered. Smoke filled the room. Rex barked and charged. Jack fired once, blindly, then ducked behind the couch, coughing. "Rex," he shouted. Through the smoke he heard snarling, a thud, then silence. Jack rushed forward, eyes stinging. The back door slammed open. He got to the kitchen just in time to see the door swinging. Gone. He ran out after him. Rex right behind. The yard was empty, but on the fence, blood, a small smear, and a scrap of cloth from Knox's jacket. Rex sniffed it, growling. He looked up at Jack. Jack knelt. "We'll get him, boy. He's hurt. He won't get far." Back inside, Sam peeked out of the bathroom, eyes wide. "Is he gone?" he whispered. Jack nodded. "For now, but he'll come back." Jack didn't answer right away. Then he looked at Sam and said, "Next time, we'll be ready." Rex stood between them, alert. The hunter had become the hunted. And this time, Jack wasn't backing down. The door creaked, just slightly, but Rex heard it. Knox had slipped in like a shadow, fast and silent. He moved through the house like he knew it, careful not to make a sound. But he wasn't careful enough. Rex lunged from the hallway without a single bark, all muscle and fury. The impact was explosive. Knox hit the floor with a grunt, his head smacking the tile. Before he could move, Rex had his teeth near the man's throat, snarling. "Don't," Jack shouted, storming in with his gun raised. "Down, Rex. Hold." Rex growled, pressing harder but didn't bite. His body trembled, tail rigid. He wanted to tear Knox apart, but he obeyed. Jack dropped to his knees, heart pounding. His hands shook as he yanked Knox's arms behind his back. "You're done," Jack hissed, snapping the cuffs on. "You'll never hurt another kid again." Knox didn't speak. He just smirked through the blood in his mouth. "You've got no idea what you've ruined," he said, voice cold. Jack ignored him. From behind the living room curtain, a small voice broke the silence. "You found me," Sam whispered, barely audible. "You really found me." Sam was standing there, his little hands shaking as they pulled the curtain aside. His eyes were filled with tears, raw, silent tears that had been waiting too long to fall. Jack stood slowly, stepping over Knox's limp body. He reached out. Sam didn't move at first. Then he ran forward, crashing into Jack's arms. "You said he'd come back," Sam choked. "And he did. But you were here. You stopped him." Jack held him close. "I promised, didn't I?" Sam looked down at Rex, who was now sitting beside them, panting softly, still on alert. "I heard him," Sam said, before the door opened. "I heard Rex's growl. I knew you were here." Rex let out a soft whine and nudged Sam's hand with his nose. Jack radioed in backup. This time, the signal went through. "Suspect in custody," he said. "Send a team and bring an ambulance. The boy's safe." Knox groaned on the floor, rolling slightly, still cuffed. "It won't end with me," he muttered. "There are more. You think I worked alone?" Jack stepped back toward him, fists clenched. "You'll tell us everything." Knox just smiled. "Ask the boy. He knows." Sam tensed in Jack's arms. "He told me things," Sam said quietly, "about a place, a farm. Said, it's where he took the ones who didn't listen." Jack's jaw tightened. "Did he give you a name?" Sam nodded. "He called it the Quiet Barn." Jack exchanged a look with Rex. The case wasn't over. Not yet, but this part was. They had Sam, and they had Knox. Sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder. Lights flashed through the windows. Jack looked down at Rex. "Good boy," he whispered. Rex wagged his tail once, eyes never leaving Knox. Officers stormed the house moments later, securing the scene. Knox was dragged out, still smirking, still silent. Sam clung to Jack's arm, not letting go. "Will he come back?" Sam asked, voice trembling. Jack looked him in the eye. "No, kid, not this time." He guided Sam to the ambulance, letting the medics check him over, but Sam kept looking back at Rex. "Can he ride with me?" he asked. Jack smiled. "Wouldn't be right if he did." Rex hopped into the back without hesitation, curling next to Sam like a guardian. As the doors closed, Jack stood outside watching the scene. He felt tired, but something else too. A shift, a purpose. This wasn't over. Knox had left trails, names, clues, and Sam remembered more than anyone thought. The Quiet Barn. Jack didn't know what they'd find there, but he knew one thing. He wouldn't be going in alone. He looked at Rex, still watching him from the ambulance, eyes bright, ears perked. They'd started this together. They'd finish it together. Sam moved in with Jack, while the system tried to figure things out. Foster care, paperwork, interviews, but none of that mattered right now. What mattered was that Sam was safe. Jack set up the spare room, with soft blankets, warm lights, and a small stuffed bear Rex had picked out, or rather the one he wouldn't stop nosing at the store until Jack bought it. Sam clung to that bear, like a lifeline. And Rex, he never left Sam's side, not once. If Sam sat, Rex sat. If Sam went to the bathroom, Rex waited outside the door. If Sam twitched in his sleep, Rex was there, nose nudging his hand, until he calmed. "I think he thinks Sam's his now," Jack joked to the social worker one day. "Maybe he's right," she said, watching them from the kitchen window, as Sam threw a ball, and Rex bolted after it, like a puppy. The backyard was full of life again, barks, laughter, the kind of sound Jack hadn't heard in years. Sam was healing, slowly. His eyes didn't dart at every sound anymore. He started eating more, talking more, and the nightmares, they started to fade. One night, after a long day of board games and pizza, Sam was curled up on the couch, his head on Rex's belly. The dog didn't move an inch. Jack was flipping channels, not really watching. "I don't think I ever laughed before," Sam said suddenly. Jack turned to look at him. "What do you mean, buddy?" "Before I met Rex. Before you. I don't think I ever really laughed." Jack swallowed the lump in his throat. "You're safe now," Sam nodded. "I know, I feel it." He sat up and wrapped his arms around Rex's neck. "He's my hero," Sam whispered. Then he looked at Jack,
Both of you are. Jack didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. That night, Sam didn't ask to keep the light on, and Rex still slept right beside the bed, but Sam didn't reach for him. In the middle of the night, he just slept peacefully. Morning came with sunshine and the smell of pancakes. Jack had never made pancakes for anyone but himself, and those were usually burnt. But this time, he tried. Is it supposed to be this black on the edges? Sam asked, laughing as he chewed. Chef's secret. Jack grinned. Extra crispy. Sam giggled, syrup all over his face. Rex barked once, as if judging both of them. Life wasn't perfect, but it was better. A lot better. But Jack knew something still lingered in the background. Something unfinished. The quiet barn.
Right.
Sam hadn't mentioned it again, but Jack could see it behind his eyes sometimes, like shadows flickering just behind his smile. That barn was real, and Jack intended to find it. But for now, just for this morning, he let himself enjoy the sound of Sam's laughter and the steady thump of Rex's tail hitting the floor. The storm had passed, but the journey wasn't over. At the city hall, the room buzzed with excitement. News vans lined the curb, reporters gathered by the steps, and officers in dress blues stood shoulder to shoulder. The mayor stood at the podium, smiling wide, while a silver medal rested on a velvet pillow beside her. Jack adjusted his collar, feeling awkward in his formal uniform, but Rex just sat there, calm as ever, wearing a red ribbon around his neck, like it was no big deal. Sam clung to Jack's hand tightly, eyes wide at all the flashing lights and murmurs around them. The mayor began to speak. Today, we honor a hero, she said, not just for his service, but for his heart. She motioned toward Rex. Cameras clicked furiously as she stepped forward and clipped the medal gently onto his collar. Good boy, she whispered. The crowd erupted in applause, but Rex didn't bark, didn't wag. He simply looked up at Jack, waiting for his cue. That's all he ever needed. Jack knelt beside him, patting his side. You earned it, buddy. Sam stood just behind them, nervously holding a crumpled piece of paper. Jack leaned in. You sure you want to speak? Sam nodded slowly. I want them to know. With a little help, Sam stepped up to the mic. The room fell completely silent. He took a breath, unfolded the paper, then looked up and let it drop. I was trapped, he said, voice small but clear. For a long time, I thought I'd never get out. I thought no one would ever find me. Rex shifted slightly, eyes locked on Sam, ears perked. But then, I heard barking. I heard him. Sam placed a hand gently on Rex's back. He didn't just save me, he said, eyes brimming. He gave me a life. A few sniffles echoed through the room. One reporter lowered her camera, wiping her eyes. I didn't even know what family meant, Sam added, until I met Rex and Jack. Jack blinked fast, trying to stay composed. Sam stepped out. As soon as he did, Rex licked his hand and nudged him toward Jack. Sam leaned into both of them, smiling through his tears. The mayor stepped back to the podium. Rex, on behalf of this city, we thank you for your bravery, your loyalty, and your heart. More clapping, a standing ovation. Jack didn't move. He just kept his arm around Sam, his other hand resting on Rex's back. Afterward, reporters tried to ask questions. Jack politely declined. No interviews today, he said. We've got a game of fetch to play. Outside, away from the crowd, Sam looked up at him. Do you think the bad dreams will ever go away? He asked. Jack looked down. They might not, but you'll get stronger. And Rex and I will be right here. Sam nodded. Always, 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 Jack said. Rex gave a quiet bark, as if to seal the promise. They walked away from the city hall, metal glinting in the sun, but none of them looked back, because the next chapter of their lives was just beginning. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true tales like this.